All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final weekly recess for the football season 2024/2025. And guys, just a show of hands, by the way, Mitchell Lee, Connor VanDemark, Brandon 2, Tommy Grant. Who picked the Eagles to win this football matchup? That would be me. That would be Connor. That would be me and Connor. All right.
Tommy the two.
Fuck you, sir.
I'm almost positive Tommy picked the Eagles.
Tommy picked the Eagles? Okay, I thought so,
Yeah.
but the way Tommy was looking at me made me
He picked the Eagles for the safety of Philadelphia.
yeah, no, that's
right.
Yeah, how'd that work out? But Brandon picked Kansas City. He'd been talking about leaning on Saquon all season, and he went away from it. He betrayed what made him great. So,
yeah.
But the Eagles did come up victorious in the end, 40-22. Despite Saquon Barkley really not being an active part of the game. I mean, they tried. They gave him 25 carries, 57 yards. Just wasn't really happening. The Chiefs did a really good job of bottling up Saquon Barkley. And that's about the only good thing that they did.
It's what we all knew was going to happen. They were going to put all their effort into stopping Saquon, and that was going to open up the passing game. And the Eagles were just going to take them down that way, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think Connor kind of nailed it with like A.J. Brown being like one-on-one.
Okay,
if he can make those plays, I mean,
let's be real. I called how this game was going to be. I was not far off the prediction.
You weren't far off. Yeah, what really would have taken it over the top?
Remind me of what you said again, Connor.
Yeah, he wasn't that far off. He really wasn't.
Eagles going to go up big at some point. I thought it would be in the second half, not the first half. The Eagles go up big, forcing Mahomes to throw, pick six, and then it's going to be a huge blowout.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Now, if he had said Cooper DeJean pick six, I would have been like, "We got to bet this."
I should have. And guess what? I'm an idiot. I would have made some good money on that. Like $20 for like 100.
Yeah.
I did make $200 on an $8 parlay. That was pretty awesome.
Pretty good.
I had the Eagles money line over 50.5. Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown. Saquon Barkley over 13.5 receiving yards, and DeAndre Hopkins over 1.5 receptions. That Hopkins touchdown at the 2-minute warning that got the over, and Hopkins that second reception. Oh, I was losing my mind.
I'm joking.
Downstairs are probably like, the game's over. What's he celebrating?
Yeah, I'm probably joking. It's a mortal lock, but at least D-Hop came through for me. I got a anytime touchdown scorer, D-Hop, so that was good.
And Tommy, I think it was Tommy that said this. He put up a big stat. I don't really know if it really meant anything at the end of the day, but Xavier Worthy did have a really good game.
Yeah.
8 catches, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. A lot of
he might have had the
calories
fastest
there.
Play in the game. Yeah, might have had the fastest.
I think he was the only decent player on the Chiefs O-line because we're terrible.
Before we talk about the Chiefs and the GOAT conversations
the
and all
meltdown.
that stuff,
we can call it what it is.
There's no more GOAT conversation.
Before we get there, I just want to toot my own horn. I do have written down what I had for my prediction was 37 Eagles, 23 Chiefs. That's pretty damn close.
Yes.
Yeah, man, you did a pretty good job.
I remember saying to myself, I really hope this doesn't happen because it's going to be like a bad game.
I think mine was like 35-23 or something like that. Like you and I were both kind of in the same ballpark.
Same ballpark for sure.
I had the proof. I had the math.
Yeah, this man did the math.
And this game at a point was 34-0 and 40-6. This was the scoreboard says 40-22, but this was a beat down of epic proportions, and it was a beat down of epic proportions because the Eagles dominated in the trenches, particularly that defensive line. I know they gave the MVP to Jalen Hurts, and this is the second straight Super Bowl that I thought he's outplayed Patrick Mahomes. This time there's no debate. but I think they should have split that MVP trophy 8 ways somehow and given
Can
it
you
to
give it to all of them?
Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, and Moro Ajomo, because they kept those defensive linemen fresh and rotated, and every single time one of them was out there, they made gigantic plays throughout the game and kept Mahomes in hell all game long.
I saw
Yeah,
one.
go
I
ahead.
saw one stat where like the Eagles didn't blitz at all. And
No.
That was the worst part.
They were getting to the quarterback
sacks, I
with
think, total.
4 guys. Yeah, they were getting the quarterback with four rushers. Like they didn't blitz at all.
yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
wonderful.
Yeah,
I had a shot every time Mahomes got sacked, and it was great.
that could
Must have been a fun Monday morning for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was like 3 in a row that
That
could
was
put you under the
lightweight.
table.
That's nothing.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'll say this: I don't even know if Mahomes did not play well. Like he probably played like the poorest he's played maybe in his whole career.
I'd say in his career.
But to be completely honest with you, I mean, what was he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like every time he took a drop back, it was
I
like
expect you
it
to
was
die,
guy
Mr.
so in his
Mahomes.
face. Like the interception, the pick 6 to Cooper DeJean. He gets hit on the backside by his left tackle because the guy just gets drove back into him. Like
now,
that's crazy.
That
to
one
me.
I will put on him. That one I will put
What,
on
for,
him. It's
for
the
throwing
one
the ball? I mean, I don't know.
the one that he got hit was the one to Bond that like gave them the ball at the 10
that is
yard
true.
line.
That is true.
The
That
one
was
to
the ball.
Gene, he was trying to make a play, threw it across his body over the middle of the
It's
field,
the
which is
first time he had a chance to make a play all game. Yeah, that's the problem.
those are the type of plays that we were used to seeing Mahomes make all the time earlier in his career.
Yeah.
Whereas of late, he hasn't really been making those type of throws. He's been a lot more, all right, let me read the defense, get the ball out of my hands quickly. He hasn't been doing the whole Superman type thing that we saw him do 2018, 2019, 2020. And so to see him really press like that and play in a way that he'd honestly
I will
prefer
say-
not to play right now, it's like, all right, Eagles, good job. You did what you wanted to do.
At that point in the game, they're down. They need a score basically to stay in the game. He's trying to make a play. I mean, yeah, sure, I put it on him for like trying to make the play, but at the end of the day, like that play did not really affect the game at all. It buried them and put them basically out of reach. But at the end of the day, like he kind of had to make that play because like if he doesn't make that play, then they punt, and then Philadelphia gets the ball back. They probably score again because they couldn't even stop him either. Like that was the problem. Chiefs couldn't stop him, and then they couldn't even get anything going with their offense because the pass rush was too good. So it was like a snowball effect. I mean, it was. You want to say it was a beatdown? I think it was a meltdown on Kansas City's part. Like they played awful. It was a meltdown.
So I want to interject here because I think because we've been saying kind of all season though that this has been the Chiefs thing though. Is like they haven't been a dynamic team, and like I think part of that is currently how the roster is constructed. Like their defense has been generally speaking pretty dang good, but the thing is when your offense isn't producing and your defense is on the field, I think it was like 60% of the time that the Eagles had possession in this game. It was some high number.
Yeah, it was some really
And
high
like
number.
it's like when you're on the field for that long, like of course they're gonna get hung out to dry. So like to me, it was more of a situation where how I see the Chiefs currently is that how the Chiefs have been playing have been despite how lackluster the roster is currently. Because you saw the offensive line getting torched. They have some wide receivers now with Xavier Worthy, but like Hopkins is.
I mean, let's be honest. Rasheed Rice fixes a lot of their.
He does. He fixes a lot too. He also gives another versatility. Yes. But like at this point where I'm like, this season was like to me I'm like I don't see much from them. So why that's why I was so against them in this game because to me the Eagles had every facet of their team was better than the Chiefs, and that's why I saw them just outperforming them. And and you saw it. The results were there in the trenches. With the play calling. So and usually they could find a way to wiggle out of it, which because they just have the experience they can do. But when you have full pressure from all sides of the ball, like there's nothing else.
Mitchell, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but like usually what
I
Kansas
don't.
City does, well, you don't even know what I was going to say yet. So let's find out. Usually Kansas City will get themselves in a tight game, a close game. Then the sphincter of the other team tightens up. The other team makes a mistake, and they kind of get themselves into a situation where they draw up a play call to get a touchdown, or Andy Reid like designs a good play and gets a decent chunk of yards, and it just seemed like they got out coached too. Like they just got out coached. Like I don't know if I've seen that in the entire Chiefs dynasty. Like to get out coached by the other side, because like even when they lost to like Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, I don't think they were out coached. I just think Tom Brady and Tampa Bay beat them. But this game, they were out coached. Like it just wasn't good. Everything they were doing, the adjustments at halftime, it didn't matter because Philadelphia could send four guys. They would get two of them to the quarterback, and they would just wreck things. And once you're in that situation where you have to throw the football and you have to take 5-step drops, 7-step drops in order to push the ball down the field, like you put yourself in a danger zone where if one guy on the line isn't good enough blocking, like you're done. Like the game's over. Like Milton Williams like sealed that game. Like he said, "All right, let me strip sack this real quick and just put this game away." Like it's
My
just
guy made
insane to me.
me my guy made me incredibly proud. I remember watching all 22 of him when he was at Louisiana Tech and just going,
Nah, he would
this
blow kids
guy
up at
is
Louisiana
just
Tech.
so fast. If he can just get a little bit more muscle on him and just go to the right team, this dude is going to be a situational beast. And lo and behold, Philadelphia made it happen. Um, what moment did you know that this was going to be a blowout and there was going to be no 28-3 comeback, that it was done? Because I'll just say, I knew after the interception return for a touchdown by Cooper DeJean, the Chiefs went back on the field and they had 3 plays for -6 yards.
Yeah, they had nothing.
And they had no response after that. That's when I knew, oh, this is done. Like this is there is no comeback. And I know that might seem a little early, but I just kept thinking to myself what I thought when I picked the Eagles to win. This is not the Atlanta Falcons from 2016. This is the number 1 rushing team and the number 1 defense. That kind of comeback just isn't happening on this team. And certainly not the way
Yeah.
the Chiefs, then their body language and kind of how everything was at that point in time didn't seem to me like a single thing was going to happen. And I guess I was right.
Yeah, I don't want to make fun of like what Tom Brady said, but when they get the ball back with like 40 seconds left in the half, and Brady's like, "I wouldn't push the envelope here. I wouldn't do anything to like give the Chiefs a chance to get back into it." In my head, I know I texted in the group chat like they could come back because it's Mahomes in Kansas City, but in my head, I was thinking this game's over. This game was over before the pick six. Like I guess there was a realm of possibility where Kansas City goes down the field, they get the ball out at halftime, and then they make it a game. But I mean, they weren't doing anything on offense. They weren't pushing the ball down the field. They weren't doing anything. So I thought it was kind of funny that the guy who orchestrated the 28-3 comeback was like, I wouldn't force anything up 24-0. I would kind of stay pat. I wouldn't really force anything. But I mean, I guess he's right. I mean, the Eagles dominated that game in like all aspects, like Connor said. And so like they didn't really have to force anything. They were good to go into halftime up 24 because they were like, Kansas City's not moving the ball on us. Like, have you seen what they're doing? Like, until they show us something different, like I think we played the same way we've been playing the entire time. And yeah, I think there was a little bit of adjustments here and there, but I think Philadelphia was just like, we can line up and out physical you, and like that's how we're gonna beat you. And it was kind of crazy to see that because I hadn't seen that from a Kansas City team really this entire like not dynasty, but pretty close. I guess we can call it a dynasty. I mean, it kind of ended. I really don't know what the Chiefs are going to do after this, but like props to Philadelphia because they just like destroyed them basically.
Connor, when did you know it was over?
Well, I saw the pick six. Like, oh, this is happening. I thought it was going to happen. Okay,
Yeah.
like
Connor was like check mark on my predictions.
like it's to me. I'm like, I guess this is what I expected. For like, to me, it's like, oh, this is the nail in the coffin here because the Eagles' defense is just that good, and I didn't have any confidence in the Chiefs to actually dig themselves out of it. And then like on the cherry on top, like no, just the seeing what's his freaking name again? The other wide receiver, not AJ Brown.
Devontae Smith.
That bomb, that was so beautiful. It was such a great throw, leading him into it, and it was perfect. And it was like, oh yeah, that's ouch.
It's a great throw, but how does that happen? You're down, and you just let him basically run a post over the top, like
Yeah.
that can't happen. Like that, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess they're loading up to stop Saquon, but at the end of the day, I'd rather have Saquon run the ball for 8 yards than have that happen. Like you said,
Yeah.
great throw by Jay, like awesome throw. I mean, it's probably his best throw of the game, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Now, talking about Jalen Hurts, I think that I have to rescind my top 5 invitation
No,
to
Mitchell.
Jaden Daniels. I think I have to
No.
because
This is tough.
I think Jalen Hurts has claimed that 5th spot, and I think Jaden Daniels will take it back pretty quickly. But I think that you outplay Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls. You shine bright on the big stage against a really good defense in a game where they take away the thing that made your offense run all season and put it on you. And you put up, I know that the defense certainly contributed, but Eagles scored 40 points. And I do think that Jalen Hurts deserves his flowers, his love, his recognition for that. Now, I think that anybody that puts him over Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, I think you ought to be locked up in prison. But I think that 5th spot, him and Jaden Daniels competing for that, I give the edge to Hurts for the moment.
And you fought so goddamn hard.
I know, and he just backs down. He's just like, Jalen won a Super Bowl. Got to give it to him.
Podcast title. Connor is right.
Jalen won Super Bowl MVP. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls now.
See, that's reaction.
Eventually,
I
reacted to what I saw. I watched the game, and what happened influenced my opinion. Yeah, okay. That's called watching football, Brandon.
Don't get mad at me. You're the one who's taking it back.
You're the one that said what you just said.
Freezing cold takes.
So where do you have him, punk ass bitch?
Freezing cold. I mean, I still have him at 6 or 5. Like, I still think he's like there with Jaden Daniels.
Well,
like,
okay. Then.
I thought he was 6 or 5 before that. I thought he was 5 before that. I mean, I was with Connor. I mean, I think Jaden Daniels is awesome, but like Jalen Hurts has played on the biggest stage and done really good stuff. And let's not get it twisted. The Eagles' offensive game plan is very simplistic. We're going to run the ball, we're going to make you load the box, and then we're going to throw the ball over the top one-on-one, and we think our receivers are better than your cornerbacks. And, like, that game, they were. Like, A.J. Brown was better than the guy in front of him. Devontae Smith was better than the guy in front of him.
That throw to Devontae, like you mentioned it, Connor.
I mean, it's his best throw of the game.
You couldn't have delivered. You couldn't have like handed it off to him.
Yeah,
better than that.
And like that's the evolution of Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts was not an accurate quarterback coming out of college.
No,
and he's turned into an accurate QB with the ability to run the ball. And Saquon does help a lot. And you can tell, like, they were loading 8 or 9 in the box, and it did not matter because Jalen Hurts could sit back there and pick out his guys, and they win one-on-one matchups. Like, that's what makes them really good as an offense, is those receivers win one-on-one matchups like they do.
I want to add one more thing into this because see him make some pretty nice plays. Jahan Dotson.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Like he had 2 catches, but like they're good catches for like large amount of yards. I'm like, oh, okay, like cool.
Yeah, I don't know if this hit, but it was like the over under for how many people have receptions in the game was like 13 and a half. And as soon as Dotson caught the ball, I was like, man, maybe I should have bet the over at 13 and a half. I was like, man, everyone's catching the ball today. I was like, I don't even know. Their third tight end caught the ball at one point. I was like, man, their third tight end's getting involved. I was like, it's over. Like, I was like, they're literally getting the ball to everybody.
It was 13 and a half. That actually would have been the under.
Yeah, it probably would have been just because the Chiefs.
It was
the Chiefs didn't do anything.
No, It was at 13. Kansas City's it was Philadelphia only had 5 teams that had 5 players with receptions.
Okay.
Kansas City was like a whole boatload of people. Because again, like to me, like their receiving core is so just jumbled. Of like, okay, you have Worthy, great, and then you have a list of no have-nots, no Hopkins, Juju, Hollywood Brown. Like, oh, I love Hollywood Brown so much when he was on the Cardinals, but oh my God, like
it's really tough to hear you say Juju Smith-Schuster, D-Hop, and Hollywood Brown.
And
like
all people that used to be somebody.
Yeah, those 3. I put them in the same bucket of like, 3 years ago I would take him in a heartbeat in the fantasy draft. Now I'm like,
Brandon. Brandon, do you remember what I told you when Rashee Rice got hurt? What'd I tell you when Rashee Rice got hurt?
The D-Hop trade won't matter?
I said, 1. Well, I said the D-Hop trade won't matter when the D-Hop trade happened. And hey, look at me being correct. When Rashee Rice got hurt, I said the Chiefs cannot win a Super Bowl without Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
They need that guy. He got open on all levels of the field, and him and Mahomes developed a really great chemistry early in the season. It was like, damn it. They got that guy.
He's good. Like, he's good.
Yeah.
He's not in the bucket of have-nots. He's in the bucket of haves. Like, guys who can get on his
Rice,
yes. Yeah.
They really needed him in a game like this because he's the only one that can get open. Worthy can get open quickly, but it's almost like you depend on him.
He's stretching the field. He's a stretch the field guy. Yeah.
Down the field and more like screens and that type of thing. And the Eagles are really good at tackling in space. So Rashee Rice, it's more
the
of
fundamentals,
those,
baby. It's
the
slants,
the deep crossers, the short crossers, all that type of stuff. Rashee Rice really excelled at in beating all types of coverage.
So Mitchell, can we like talk about this really quickly? I know you brought up the Eagles and like how guys like fell to them in the draft and stuff like that, but how did they get Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean in their defensive backfield? It is insane that those guys are in the backfield producing. It is absolutely crazy that they are just getting all this contributions from all these guys that like the rest of the league was like, yeah, like Cooper DeJean is like a 2nd-round pick. Like he's not really that good. And then you immediately see as soon as he gets there, he's like the best safety / corner they have. Like it's like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. Like,
And this was also a Philadelphia secondary from last season that was not very good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They rebuilt that secondary like so fast.
Fantastic job.
Yeah. I mean, Zach Bond falling to them, like Nolan Smith.
Zach Bond was a bust in New Orleans and comes to Philly and immediately becomes an all-pro player.
Yeah, but like they changed him to an all-pro player. Like I think Brady brought this up during the game. He's like, Zach Bond was on the line as like a rush the passer type like linebacker. And Philadelphia sees him and they're like, actually, we're going to make you a middle linebacker. Like, we're going to put you off the line and you're going to be incredible. Like, I don't know how they do it. Like, it's witchcraft. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. They're great at, like, evaluating talent and, like, getting the most out of it. I mean, they really are.
I will say this about the Eagles, too, because I do follow this stuff. Is that they do have a very strong analytics department.
Yeah, I mean, they do.
I know currently she's now working for the Seattle Kraken, Namita Shah. She was one of the first ones for the Eagles, and she did great work for them. And it's cool like now seeing her do hockey work. It's like, oh, she like let's be like, I was like, this is some of the work I did that like is a little more outdated in football, but like this is the Eagles were doing, and I'm not surprised that they are. I see the Eagles like very similar to like the Ravens, like they're more on the cutting edge of things when it comes to like
Talent evaluators.
Yeah, and that's really what it is.
Yeah.
They do
Yeah,
a
I don't know
great
if you guys
job.
saw that. I don't know if you guys saw that. The Baltimore Ravens GM said on like McShay's like podcast or something that they use Madden ratings or like a little tiny bit of like what goes in the stew for like evaluating guys. It's really funny to me. It's so funny.
So it's funny to you and cool when the Ravens do it, but when
No,
the Jets do it, the
I don't
world's
think
falling
I
apart.
didn't want to clown on the Jets for that because I truly don't think Woody Johnson was like, oh, my kid said that guy had an 84, so I didn't like him. Like,
Neither do
what
I.
are we doing? Like, and if it's like a tiny little piece of it, if it's like 2%, then fine. Like that makes sense. Like, get as much like data as you possibly can. It's not like Madden makes up those ratings. Like to be honest, like Madden actually does a pretty good job of like aggregating those like ratings out and stuff like that. That's why guys always like get upset when they're like, "Oh, my speed's like a 75." Like Madden doesn't know what they're talking about, but like they probably do. Like they probably have a formula. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was funny. But yeah, I'm with you, Connor. I think they're like the leading edge of data and like using that type of stuff. And yeah, I mean Nick Sirianni is a really good play caller too. Like that,
Yeah, he is.
that comes down to it as well. Like he's a very good play caller.
Well, the thing is, like with the data stuff, is when it comes to gathering that information, is like part of being an analyst for that stuff is sorting through the noise and understanding how the data is representative of your population and going throughout it and seeing, okay, this could be valuable here, but I'm not going to lean. I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket here. Like you were saying before, like maybe 2%, whatever it is. I don't know what the
Right, whatever the slurry is in the mix and bowl. Yeah.
But there was so much going on, and I was at a conference last year for it was a math conference, and actually the assistant GM for the Tampa Bay Rays was actually there talking about it, and they were talking about.
They are very good at data acquisition.
It's insane how much like data they are collecting.
Yeah,
they have cameras all over the freaking stadium, like measuring bat swing, like velocity, like the stuff you see on the television broadcast is just a barely surface of what they're doing.
Connor, you're talking my language. We don't have to get into baseball talk, but like the stuff they collect, they have arm angles for like certain hitters.
Yes.
Like they match up arm angles for like relievers. So when you like complain about your favorite team going to the bullpen, like that's a formula to like understand how to attack a hitter. And like I think that's what the Eagles are doing. The Eagles are like formulating all this stuff, and they're like, what can we do to attack opponents? Like, what can we do as like evaluators of talent acquisition too? Like they saw Zach Bond and they were like, we can turn that guy into a middle linebacker.
Yes.
Like,
and
that's insane to me.
And that's the thing too, is like, when you have a full organizational buy-in too, is you get teams where they are seeing, oh, we can use this, and let's target him. Because the first thing I thought of was like, no, Deshaun Watson, no, like, why give him all this money for the contract? Like, contracts themselves is an analytical tool, and you have to actually understand how much value it is. And I know for hockey, the Twins I follow, they call it Evolving Hockey. That's their handle name. And the Twins, they're one of the biggest things that they work on is contract projections of how much people are going to make, and then those projections are actually being cited by agents like, hey, this is what he's valued at right now with our current market, and GMs understanding that and like, navigating that kind of atmosphere in that environment and using it to their advantage of getting players on the cheap that are fitting their scheme and being effective.
Yeah, but to go even a step further, Mitchell, they're about to lose Milton Williams, so I'm interested to see who they're going to replace him with. and they're just gonna cycle in a new guy.
Moro Ajomo's going to step in, but yes, they need more of a pass rush threat, and I can't wait to see what they do with that. And Jalen Carter's just so much of a beast. Before we wrap this up, final note of conversation. Patrick Mahomes. There were people out there that thought that the GOAT conversation could begin with a win. That obviously did not happen. Me personally, I had Patrick Mahomes as the number 2 quarterback entering this game, and I thought the margins were so slim that he actually slid back down to number 3 at the conclusion of this game behind Joe Montana. Now he'll take that back just by like making another Super Bowl.
Being Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Aggregate.
But as far as being number 1 goes, did the conversation close?
No.
Why would it
My
close?
opinion
Tom
for
Brady
the
won Super Bowl. Like, he lost Super Bowls. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
Plenty of time, baby.
is that a real question? I'm being serious. Like, is that a
Yes,
real
that's
question?
a real
Like,
question. Tommy,
that
what do
doesn't-
you think?
It's not
That's
close.
a hot takey question. Like that's just like
No. Tommy, go. I hope you're on the
I,
right side.
I agree with all of you guys in the fact that it is way too early. You can't judge someone's whole career off of one Super Bowl loss.
I
And
know.
again, like what you guys were saying, Brady lost plenty of Super Bowls. Granted, he won a shit ton of them too.
But he
But-
never got obliterated in a Super Bowl.
No.
Before.
Sure.
And this
Yeah.
is the
I
second
mean,
time this has happened. Now, granted, the other one wasn't as bad as this, and Mahomes did play better in that one.
and
but
he
still got
lost to the
blacked.
GOAT. I mean,
But
I would
we-
argue he
we've
lost.
And
also-
he
we've
lost
also
to the
talked
person
about
he
how-
would be competing with for that spot.
We have also talked about how the Chiefs' offensive line was never anything superior in this league, and that they've kind of just gotten lucky this entire season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've
every
been-
game, not every game, but there's a good number of games where they got lucky and they pulled off a win. Now,
This
I
year,
think
yes.
if he had a much stronger offensive line, then I could say the GOAT conversation is definitely in play and much stronger, but he needs a better offensive team to be able to make it up.
But I will say this, guys. We're talking about contracts and all that stuff.
Brady was throwing the ball to plumbers.
He makes a shit ton of money. So how can you make your offense inside of that? They had to get rid of Tyreek Hill because of how much money Mahomes was going to make. Like, I just don't know if you can like do what the Chiefs are doing and pay him that much money and still win unless Mahomes is like just absolutely great. And he wasn't great that day. Like he just
There's
wasn't.
definitely some players they can get rid of and make room for some younger players to come in.
So
Like,
you're saying in the
honestly,
draft,
get the
like
fuck-
draft
get rid of
receivers.
Kelsey. Get rid
Yeah.
of Kelsey. He's washed up at this point. He's
I
done.
mean, yeah, I hate
I
to say
think
it
he's
as
gonna
a
retire.
Kelsey dynasty owner. I hate to say it. He looked awful.
Yeah.
He looked
Yeah.
atrocious.
And him
It
being
was
one
bad.
of the kind of token players that Mahomes would throw to, and he couldn't really even rely on
He
him.
can't
in this
cut
game.
anymore. I don't know how the Texans did it. Like, what are the Texans doing? I'm still dumbfounded they left him wide open for like 9 receptions.
They could have won that game if they just paid attention to him at all.
Yeah, I'm with you,
It's the
Tommy.
loser's favorite word.
Yeah, the loser's favorite word. We could have won. Yeah.
I think that Mahomes, I tweeted during the game it was disqualifying, and I'm going to walk that back.
That's
But I do
reactionary,
think
Mitchell, is what that is.
I do
That's
think it
reactionary.
is. I do think it is very damaging,
Okay.
because he now has been blown out in 2 Super Bowls, and everyone just kind of takes like, oh, he'll definitely win. You know, Brady did it, so of course Mahomes is going to win 3, 4, 5 more. That's just going to happen.
Mitchell,
it's
there's
like-
no guarantee, but he's been in the league for 7 seasons as a starting quarterback, and they've been in the Super Bowl 5 times.
He's also
mean-
had, for each of those Super Bowls, he's had the same head coach and the same defensive coordinator. And, you know, Reed's getting older. I don't know how much longer he's going to be the head coach there. I don't know how much longer Andy Reid's going to coach. He's going to
Honestly,
lose.
I can see
another
that being
one of
like
his
the Belichick
primar-
effect where once Mahomes like either retires or something, Reed will retire,
Oh no, Reed will retire way before Mahomes
So,
does.
Mitchell, what if I frame this question this way? Talent wise, where would you put Mahomes in the discussion of like QBs in the history of the NFL? Because to me, he's top three, like easily, not even like a question, talent wise. So
Talent
then,
wise, I'd put him. You're gonna get pissed off when I say this. I'm gonna put him number 2, all time.
okay, no, that's fine.
Number
I mean,
2.
that makes sense. I mean, that's where
Talent
I would have him.
wise,
That's where I would have him.
talent wise,
Because I know who you're gonna say is the best. I know you're gonna say
who?
Aaron Rodgers.
No, I have him number 3.
Oh, okay. Now I'm interested.
Who do I have
Well,
number 1?
Tom Brady was not
talent-wise?
one.
Two.
Tom Brady's not
No,
one.
no. Talent wise, number 1 is a man that I just think won the MVP. That would be Josh Allen. I think he's the most talented quarterback in the history of the NFL.
That's
Because
tough.
Josh Allen. Now, do I think he should have won the MVP? Hell no. I think that was a horrible MVP. I think it should have gone to Saquon or Lamar Jackson. I think that was a shut the fuck up MVP. The same way they gave Joel Embiid one in the NBA. Just like, all right, fine, get out of our face about it. But that being said, I put Josh Allen over Mahomes and Rodgers because of his ability to just run people over as well. Like I've always said, Josh Allen was Cam Newton if Cam Newton was good. So
I mean, that's very disrespectful to a guy.
and also if Josh Allen, gave a damn about his teammates and such, and wasn't one of these, I'd rather win the MVP than the Super Bowl, and I came into a bunch of losers when I was drafted in a locker room with Greg Olson, Steve Smith, Jonathan Stewart.
That is a tough scene.
People that have won games and aren't losers.
But I'll say this about Cam. I'll say this about Cam. He won at every level except the NFL. So, and like how many people win at the NFL level? So I understand his point when he's like, I want to win an MVP because MVP means more than it does a Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, in a team sport, you should never say that. And you really shouldn't say that out loud. But at the end of the day, people are going to care more about the fact that he won an MVP rather than winning a Super Bowl. No one gives a damn that Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. In fact, they clown Trent Dilfer for winning.
Well, that's because Trent Dilfer was ass.
But they clown him for it. They're like, oh, he won a Super Bowl. He's like the worst guy to win a Super Bowl. Or like, who else? With Doug Williams, people clown Doug Williams. They're like, "Oh, he won a Super Bowl."
Who clowns Doug Williams?
Some people do. I mean, I don't know. I'm just
racist.
I like Doug Williams. But I'm just saying that people are like, "Oh, Doug Williams is like top 5 worst QBs to ever win a Super Bowl," and it's just like, what are we doing? Like at the end of the day, like it's a team sport, and like you want to win, but like winning MVP is cool. Like I don't know, like it is. So Josh Allen got his MVP award. Good for him, but. My whole point in saying the talent thing, Mitchell, is that I just don't see Mahomes like falling off anytime soon. Again, he's made 5 Super Bowls in 7 years of starting. Show me someone else who's doing that. Like, show me someone else who's actually doing that in a league where there's a lot of parity right now, because this league has way more parity than it has had in the past. So, and he just continues to dominate. So.
I will say this because I'm currently scrolling between both their playoff success and their overall when it comes to what they've done, and like honestly, it looks pretty like they have a pretty similar trajectory at the moment. Where Brady went on a heater with a really good Patriots team, going from 0-1, missed the playoffs 0-2, which is kind of funny, but 0-3 and 0-4 back to back, and then. No, they didn't make the Super Bowl until they were 3-year hiatus, but they lost to the Giants. Like that was the beginning of the evil Patriots era, and that went on.
Well, to be fair, he should have more Super Bowls. He should have beat the Giants
twice. Yeah, he lost them twice in a row, and he didn't want there was a 04 to. Yeah, it was
let's not kid ourselves.
10-year gap between Super Bowls for Brady.
Right. That's crazy to me.
A lot of it is team construction. And,
it is. Yeah.
And I think that there's so much more time, and I will say that the fact that the Chiefs have been so
convincing.
Not convincing.
Consistent.
Consistent. Thank you. They've been so consistent on making the Super Bowl over and over again. As something that the Patriots haven't really done in the early years of Brady.
it's not a guarantee that he wins more, but like I bet on the Chiefs to win 2 more or 3 more than any other team.
Yeah, and again, they show up and like yeah, they have some losses on there, but like again, the age of parity, like the teams are so much better these days.
We're talking about how bad they were this season. They were 15-1. Like,
Yeah,
we can joke about it, but they were 15-1.
No, because they find ways to win. It's how they play, and literally in the 2 conference championships in that span of this whole time is they lost 3 conference championships in this time, and 2 of them were in overtime. One against Brady himself, and the other against the Bengals. Like they've always been there.
I want to pose this question in the group to wrap up.
Do
we see this same matchup next year?
It's really.
I actually don't think there's a possibility that. I mean, there obviously is because anything can happen. But if I was to bet on a matchup, I'd bet on this matchup again. I think the Eagles are too good.
And I think the Chiefs step back and they don't make it next year.
Fair enough.
I think it's going to be either the Bills or Ravens that are going to step up and finally fill that slot.
It'd be really funny if Lamar won a Super Bowl next year. It'd be really funny.
Honest to God, it's a situation for me where, being a Jets fan watching the FC, like another team has to prove it. Like I can't bet against the Chiefs right now because no other team. Like and we see this every goddamn year. The Bills or Ravens will take care of it or whatever. We say it all the damn time, and guess what? It's always the damn Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and make this prediction right here, right now. The Los Angeles Chargers will win the AFC West next year. Year 2 with Harbaugh, get Herbert some receivers. I think that the Chargers get it done.
You know, that pushes my Justin Herbert top 7 narrative or whatever I have. You know, Josh, we're talking about Justin Herbert. We're talking about best, like most talent. Like that guy's at the top of the list in terms of talent.
Herbert's number 8 for me. So
yeah, I mean that pushes my narrative. So I'm going with it.
Like to me, I'm still a Bengals fanboy. I love the Bengals so much, and I still have hope
also
for
need them. I need them to remember that the games count in September.
Or that there's 2 sides of the ball.
Yeah,
that as well.
Yeah, defense is huge. Yes.
Yeah, defense in September. Just remember that you need those.
Pay Jamar Chase too. Like, I mean, come on, don't be stingy. Give the man his money. Let's keep it rolling with Burrow. So.
All right. Well, that's going to put a bow on the 2024 NFL season. Thank the 4 of you or the 3 of you, and I'll thank myself as well for doing this every week, talking about the NFL, giving our predictions, and looking forward to doing it again in 2025, and Brandon maybe doing some draft stuff, and
I'm looking at guys right now, Mitchell. I'm writing reports, so I'll let you know.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in.